The coronavirus ravaged economies and households. Investors in the education sector remained on the edge. With bills to pay, like staff salaries and loan repayments, many investors in private schools had to devise ways of staying afloat. Martin Munene now joins us live from Nyeri County with one such investor who chose to survive amidst the pandemic. Martin, good afternoon. It's good to see you. So what is the current situation right now as we speak? I know the person you're about to speak to changed classes into a poultry house. Is he reverting now?
All right, a very good afternoon to you, Trevor, from Nyeri County. Now, the school that I'm in, like you put it, is a private school, Nyeri County Academy. It is one of the schools that was hardly hit, was hard hit by the corona pandemic. These classes that you see behind me had been converted to chicken houses. They were trying to just make sure that they stay afloat and that their business or the school remains open. But I've come here, I found that they've already actually continued with the business. In fact, Class 8 pupils are already here. And I want to speak to the proprietor of this institution to help us understand what they have done to survive and also how the situation is like now that schools are back. Welcome to Citizen TV. Now, kindly introduce yourself and tell us how was it with the corona pandemic? What challenges did you face? Were you able to retain your teachers? And what did you do to stay afloat?
Okay, my name is Nyeri County, director at the Nyeri Academy. I must say during that period of COVID, we were able to rear broiler chicken in our 6 classes, and we did that as a teamwork together with my teachers, so that the little that we would have we would get after selling the broilers, at least we were sharing among us ourselves.
All right. And what is the situation now, especially schools are back? We have seen a lot of schools closing. Are you prepared to receive students in this pandemic?
As we were closing, we had a population of 600, and so far we have a new intake of around 180 pupils. I must say that we are prepared because we have added over 11 classrooms. We have sunk a borehole, and we know that even if we get to a population of over 1,000, we shall be in a position to hold all those pupils.
All right. So maybe what changed between now and then? You're telling us you've seen an increase in the number of students. We have actually seen a report from the Association of Private Schools are saying that a lot of schools have closed. What changed for you?
Remember, so many schools closed that those people now are trying to come to other private schools. That's why we are now getting the big number. And we hope that because we have added classes, we shall be in a position to hold all those peoples.
Right.
Yeah.
In terms of business, we understand private schools are private businesses. In terms of fees, maybe what are you doing? Have you changed the fee structures, or how are you able to to maintain the situation? I mean, the schools as it is. In public schools, we are seeing very high numbers, a lot of transfers also from private schools to the public schools. What are you doing here in your institution?
I must say that we have been hit hard by this pandemic, and we have settled that we are not going to increase our fees. Remember that some of our parents were also hit, and we have called a few so that we can get to a position to understand how they will be in a position to pay in installments. Yeah.
All right. Trevor, an interesting thing he brings out, saying that for his school, because they have been able to survive the pandemic by things that they did, for example, keeping the chicken, they are able to actually receive more students now, because he says that there are schools that actually are closed, and therefore these students or pupils are looking for alternative institutions. But like he says, it has been a tough business or a tough year that is past year for them. But he says now they're trying to talk or call parents. They sit down, they talk and see how parents can be able to actually pay their school fees in installments. But from here, I can say they've survived. They've been able to actually build more classes, despite the fact that when Corona came or when Corona hit this country, they had no alternative but actually convert classes into areas where chicken can actually be kept. Back to in studio from Nyeri County, I'm Martin Munene.
Well, thanks, Martin. But I find that rather interesting. So is he now abandoning all the poultry cubicles and turning it back to classrooms? And have they fumigated that? What is the process of doing that entire issue? Or are they going to coexist?
Okay, I think if I get you, you're asking whether the chicken are still here. Let me talk to the gentleman here. So what happened to the chicken? Or are they going to be in section of the school and the students? Another, what is going on?
Actually, I would say that when we are almost selling them, then the school again reopened for class 8 and class 4. Therefore, we have shifted them to the other side. Now it will be a project for the new curriculum pupils.
Okay, Trevor, he says that they're no longer in the school, but they're going to be part of the new curriculum. You remember they're saying that competence-based curriculum, so he says that they're going to be using them to also help learners understand how one can keep chicken. Back to you, Trevor.
Martin, before I let you go, does he think that it is still viable to invest in the education sector, or should we now do other things?
Well, there's a good question here, as in I'm being asked whether do you think this is the sector, should you concentrate here, or should people change investing in the industry or in the sector, education sector, or should, consider chicken and farming?
I would say that both are very important, but for the kids it's better, because that is our profession. Remember, we have trained, therefore, anyway, we just did that for survival, but this is our line of duty.
All right. If Lincoln is right, then he says that the school business is better than farming. He says that it was just a thing he was doing to survive. But the question, really, Trevor, we have seen quite a number of schools. In Nyeri County, for example, I know of a school that parents went to take back their students and they were told that the school is no longer functional and therefore they have to look for alternative means. And so I think the schools that will survive or have survived this pandemic in a way will thrive. But those that, and they'll thrive because those that were not able to survive went under, they were serving communities, and therefore the students in those schools will have to look for alternative institutions. Therefore, those that survived will thrive, but those that, were not able to survive definitely died. And so he says that the school business remains a good business if he compares with what he did in that short period. But an interesting thing he says is that actually the first reopening of schools worked to the advantage, Trevor, because he says now the fact that they had 2 classes back, they were able to use the little they were getting from there to invest and make sure that once the other students come, they can find extra classes, and at the same time they can be able to actually bring in more students. He says that from a population of about 600, they have now 180 extra students, but he says the bulk of the students are coming from institutions that actually went under. Trevor.